We got levels, we got streaming, we got recording. I'm getting good playthrough. I've gotten sound. It looks like we are ready to go. Hello again. This is Foghorn with another installment of Flight School Academics for the 27th of October, 2018. Where did the time go? This presentation is part of an ongoing series of academics for the members of the Aurora Republic, a premier role-playing organization in Star Citizen. If you are new to the Aurora Republic or visiting for the first time, let me start by saying welcome. We are glad to have you with us and would love to hear from you if you are interested in hearing more from us. We are a lawful good organization focused on roleplay, exploration, and social interaction, and are currently active and recruiting on Discord and Spectrum. Before we get started tonight, we actually do have some new members. Something new that I'm going to do. I'm going to on Saturday nights for the academic stream, I'm going to do a welcome to our new members and to guests. So we have some new members. I'm going to start all the way back from a couple of weeks ago with Mazer has joined us. So has Lady Aelith, Exnor, and our most recent recruit, as it were, is Joyce McQueen. To all four of you, welcome to the family. We are absolutely ecstatic to have you with us. We have two guests joining us tonight. We have Alistrom and Karupa, who are from Odin, who are over here sort of checking us out and seeing what we're all about, and we're getting to know them. So everybody do please say hello to them and answer their questions, and maybe we can even talk them into joining us in the verse tonight. So once we're done with academics. This should be short, fairly short. Some rules of engagement before I get started. First, we are streaming this video on Twitch, so that's why I asked you to mute your mic in the academics, just in case, so you don't give away any personal and or state secrets out across the interwebs. Please remember that there is an 8-second delay if you're watching both. There's an 8-second delay from when I say something before it comes out on Twitch. I would suggest that you mute Twitch and listen in here so you can hear everything in real time as I explain it. There will be an 8-second between the slide flips, but I don't have a whole lot of slides. So I will be monitoring the Twitch chat for questions as best I can. I'm not promising anything, because if I've ever proven anything in my life, it's that I can screw things up. So anyway, and if we do get a question via the Twitch chat, I will stop and repeat the question for the recording and everything before I answer. Tonight, we are going to continue with our BFM. Okay, why is my slide not flipping? There it is. Okay, so continuing in our combat aviation block, we've worked our way up to basic fighter maneuvers. We're going to do a quick review from last week of turn circles, just a slide or two on that. And then we're going to get into the harder part of understanding turn circles. Not so much the understanding as it is to know when you've gotten there, the cues for when you've hit that entry window. So first, the quick review. So from last time, of course, if you are turning with an aerospace vehicle, then you are describing a circle in three-dimensional space. If you continue in a constant G, constant speed turn, you will be describing a circle in space. Of course, with roll, you can reorient that circle wherever you want in 3 dimensions, as we showed him last time. The faster you go, the bigger the circle is. The slower you go, the smaller the circle is. The harder you pull, aka more G's, the tighter the circle is. The less you pull, the bigger the circle is. Typically, as an aerospace vehicle, whether it's in atmosphere or not, tends to slow down as it's turning. A concept we'll hit later that's called specific energy, or specific power, actually. And one of the things to remember is that center of the turn circle, as the spacecraft or aircraft slows down in its hard brake turn, is that the center of that turn circle is moving. It moves, it slides across space down into the smaller turn circle. All of this is in 3 dimensions, of course, so you can reorient these anywhere you want, as long as that sphere that those circles describe are not being occluded by, say, something like the ground. That's called a crash, so we don't do that because we're professionals. Anywho, the turn circle entry window, which is much more what we're going to talk about in a little more depth tonight, is basically just on the inside of where the guy started if you start off behind him. Remember, there is no BFM outside the turn circle. There is no dogfighting outside the turn circle. The whole time that you are outside of the turn circle, the defender is going to be able to make angles and nose position on you. So that's one of the reasons why I've said that there's never been a dogfight in Star Citizen yet. Because with Circle Strafe and the IFCS the way it is currently, there's basically is no turn circle because these things are helicopters on acid. They can just turn and basically pivot around in space. That's why we end up in Circle Strafe. Good news is things are coming. Things are changing. Okay, so turn circle entry cues. All right, so I've taken you on what turn circles are and where that window is. Now, how do you know when you got there? So the two little caveats are right there on the slide. It's where he was and 45 degrees. Those are two things you need to kind of keep in mind. So I told you where the turn circle lies in relation to the Bandito. It's basically just inside of where he started. So, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's basically just inside of where he started, which makes it very easy if you're in a low aspect, something less than 40 degrees. You're within 40 degrees of the target's tail. Then basically you can just point where he was, do an acceleration maneuver straight ahead into the turn circle window. Of course, as you're accelerating, he's going to be moving out from in front of your nose. You are going to have to let him do that. Do not keep pointing at him the entire time. That's called HUD BFM, and that is a mistake. Okay, so as he's cruising out from in front of your nose, you're going to be accelerating as fast as you can to get into his turn circle or onto his turn circle. You want to fly roughly the same line he's carving in space. We can't do this yet. This is all concepts for when the IFCS changes in 3.4. So, however, if you are actually a little bit more than 40 degrees off of the tail, you're actually going to have to do a small check turn a little bit away from where the guy was. You can't just simply point, because that turn circle, you got to remember, if you extrapolate that turn circle that he's describing out back behind him, you will see that it actually describes a spot out here, which is why that yellow turn circle entry window is out over here. It's not just simply, you can't just simply point where he was like you can with a lower aspect starting of the situation. You'd actually need to do a small 10-15 degree check turn out, because that turn circle window is actually defined by where his notional turn circle is, not just simply his position. If you're low aspect, that's the same spot. If you're a little bit off of that, if you're more than about 40 degrees, you're out of here about 45, 50, 60 degrees out, you may actually have to do a small check turn out away to get yourself onto that circle and start chasing him around it. Okay, remember all of this from last week down over here, okay, down here in the inset window about the early, on time, and late turn circle entries. If you are more than 40 degrees off and you just point straight at him, you're actually doing an early turn circle entry, because you're going to miss the window on the inside. And then as you come out over here, you're actually going to transition to a late one. So that's one of the things to keep in mind. It's at that instant that the bandit looks back, sees you, and he starts his break turn, you need to mark that spot mentally in space. You roll out, you punch it up into full afterburner. Yes, I know afterburner's going away. So into whatever the maximum acceleration you can get out of the spacecraft, and you get to the turn circle. You got to get there like yesterday, okay? Because every second that you are not on his turn circle, that guy is building angles on you. Okay, so what's that look like if you're in a pitch fight? You'll have to excuse the HUD over there. That's an F-16's HUD. So this is Foghorn having a fantasy that he's flying his F-16 in space, or actually that a Buccaneer's come out to challenge me in the Mighty Mighty Viper. So this is what a pitch fight looks like. So, you're pointing at him. He starts his break turn. As he's going to go out from in front of your HUD. Do not follow him. Wait. You're going to see him out. He gets about this far out, like you see here at 10 degrees. He gets about that far out. You wait. He gets out farther out. You wait. You get out third. You wait. You wait until he is about 45 degrees off of your nose. That's a ballpark, 35-ish to 55-ish. So you're aiming to, you should be hitting that turn circle. If you do that straight ahead acceleration maneuver, you should be hitting his turn circle at about the time that you see him come 45 degrees off, so in pitch, above, up. So this is one of the reasons why I say this is all not notional, it's all academic at this point, because we can't do this with a computer monitor. You'd need something like Track IR to be able to look up, because he's going, for you to do a proper turn circle entry, he's going to fly out of the field of view of the screen. Fighting in Star Citizen with, looking through a window called the computer monitor into the universe of Star Citizen forces you into basically HUD BFM, because you can't, unless you have something like Track IR, or FOIP turns out not to be complete dog shit, or you're in some sort of a full dome or half dome, or you've got a hell of a lot more field of view, then this will start coming into play. Or the alternatives, if they give us the proper HUD symbology, you can actually do this with some symbols. That little arrow for when the guy flies outside of the field of view of the monitor, that arrow is attempting to try to give us some of those cues visually. It's not doing a very good job of it, but that's a whole nother discussion. All right, so, but these principles these are not opinions. These are not nice to haves, and these are not things that change just because CIG is programming the way they want. This is geometry, and this is geometry that hasn't changed in 100 years of aviation. So, okay, so what if it's in yaw? The same principle applies. It's the same thing. It's all based on angles and geometry and energy. So you're lined up behind the guy, you're chasing up there trying to get into weapons range. He sees you, now he starts his brake turn, he does it in yaw instead of pitch. So he yaws, the same thing. He comes off the left, 10, 20, 30 degrees, you wait, and then when he gets to about 45 degrees off your nose, left or right, now is when you jam the stick in there up to max and G your own lights out. You G the sissy off of you. These are max performance turns, because that guy's going to be max performance trying to save his life, so you're going to have to be max performance trying to kill him. Yeah, like I said over there, straight out of the old F-16 manual, 35 to 55 is sort of the window of when you know you've hit that turn circle. You'll basically be looking somewhere, the guy will have roughly 90 degrees aspect at that point. When you hit 45 degrees, if you started dead 6 and he did a good brake turn, either whether it's in pitch or in yaw, you're basically going to be looking straight at either the top of the airplane or the side of the airplane, 90 degrees aspect. You're going to be looking at him right out his wingtip, or right straight over top of the airplane, which would be the wingtip if he had rolled. So, and that's when you know you've hit it. That's the visual cue. So if you have Track IR, you may have a little bit of an advantage, because you'll be able to turn your head, get the view of the monitor to turn 45 degrees so that you can see that guy out there. And each spacecraft that you fly, each cockpit that you're in, you're going to have to figure out in the cockpit where 45 degrees left, right, or up and down is. If you're going to fight negative G's, in real life I wouldn't do that, because you give yourself a stroke and you die. If you go positive G's, you black out, and hopefully you wake up before the airplane hits the ground. But if you go negative G's hard enough to put yourself out, that's called a stroke, and that's usually fatal. So you need to figure out, okay, if it goes left, all right, that, here in my cutlass, if he goes left, then, once he gets past the left edge of the MFD and he gets over that bolt out there on the strut that's out there, part of the canopy, okay, when he gets right over there, that's about 45 degrees. So you can have some visual reference of, okay, where am I going to let, as he breaks from under my nose, he gets out to that spot, that's where I'm going to jam the stick as far as it goes, and try to and roll my socks down with G-forces as I go around to go kill the guy. That's pretty much it for what we're talking about tonight. This is all, once again, the next step in pursuit curves and turn circles and building up to up into full up BFM. This is the whole job of what BFM truly is about getting to the turn circle, entering the bandit's turn circle, employing 3D geometry, fluidly using those perspectives and energy management to solve angles, solve range, solve closure, get yourself to a WES, and then kill. So, again, all of the previous closing thoughts that I've had the last 2 times. The barriers to using this right now is the fact that you're looking through a computer monitor and you can't turn it unless you have something like Track IR or FOIP's head tracking. We don't have the proper HUD and sensor information to be able to do this without something like Track IR. It is possible though. The some of the HUD cues that they've been building into it is getting better. It's still not enough to be able to do it properly, but I am noticing that the arrow for when they go out of the monitor field of view, and the upper right corner when you have sensors locked on the guy and you're seeing his picture in the upper right corner, I've noticed that hologram of their ship is the aspect information. In other words, if even though you can't see it because of your monitor hasn't turned, that is a line of sight from you to that guy and what you would be seeing if you were looking at straight at him. In other words, it's aspect. You know, if that thing is showing you the left side of his airplane, then if you were able to turn your head and look, you would be seeing the left side of his airplane. So it's starting to give you a few cues yet. They need to do a lot with it for you to be able to use this without some sort of a head tracking or some of the things. The IFCS Nubifier's IFCS breakdown in whatever it was, 2.5 minutes. He voiced a lot of concerns. I'm not surprised at it at all because well, he's not a professional aviator. His background is armor, which has my absolute respect and admiration. But he's still an amateur, no matter how good he is or people think he is at Star Citizen, at Arena Commander and that sort of thing. He's not a professional aviator. So his concerns on the 3.4 changes in IFCS are not surprising to me. I would expect that from pretty much anybody like him. It's pretty much going to be the people who are professional pilots or who believe in doing things the way aviation really happens. When aviation, by the way, is not in atmosphere. Aviation is any sort of flying, whether it's in atmosphere or out of atmosphere. The principles are the same. Most folks, I think, are going to be very happy with 3.4 IFCS. I don't know for sure. I am cautious to make too many comments about it because I want to wait and see. I want to fly it first and see what it'll do. Because everything since we got 3.0, since 2.6.3 was a much different kind of flying. It was much more. I liked 2.6.3's IFCS a little bit better than 3.0, 3.0 and newer up until we get 3.4. 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3 has been a bit of a letdown as far as the maneuvering of the spacecraft. So, but hey, that's a good thing. Is that this is development and everything's changing. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, please unmute in Discord, and I will answer them immediately. If not, I'll give you a couple of seconds. Look over here. Oh, we got a question?
Hang on.
You got a question, Wes?
Yeah, the headphone didn't work first go. I haven't pushed the button all the way in. If you've got a crude ship and turrets, then can we develop a procedure for the turret guy to call off the position of the plane?
Absolutely.
Target?
Absolutely. I'd love to get my hands.
Can work out the angle and call it to the pilot, then the pilot has the advantage. And if the turret guy is another turret procedure, there's a World War II training video which I've seen, which is done by Disney, which is actually for the door gunners on the B-29s and other World War II planes on how to actually lead the target and how to judge the target. And I'm thinking about posting that if I can find it again.
We need
in a turret could be useful.
Yeah, we definitely need to develop training for gunners. Not training, of course training, but we definitely need to develop procedures for that. Turrets have been obsolete in modern warfare as far as aircraft go.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something we're going to have to go figure out how what the 3-1 language, etc., would be for the gunners to efficiently let the flight crew know what's necessary for them to be able to stay on target, or at
And the
least
other gunners, because if the plane is crossing, one of the key things
is
in
handing off
World
from
War
one turret to
II
the other. Yes.
was handing off from one gunner to the other
Yep.
as the plane went past.
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to get a hold of some of the old World War II guys if
They're
there's.
all available now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my dad's a World War II
Plenty
vet,
video
so there's a
now.
few hanging out,
Yeah.
and just kind of go, hey, how did you guys do it?
How would you do that?
And that would at least be a starting place.
Yep.
So, anything else? Going once, going
Now,
twice.
just one other thing.
Sure.
In World of Tanks, you can drive in one direction and look in another direction with no problems. Right?
Right.
So why don't we have working free look in cockpits?
I mean, you do if you hit the Z key, but
Yes, but that does other things to the flight controls.
right. Yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
It's really, really easy for them to introduce a working free look key.
Yeah, or put it on on an analog axis. If you're, I think some of the Virpils or VKG's sticks have some that have like hat switches or thumb switches on the stick that are actually analog, similar to the thumb sticks on an Xbox controller, that are actually analog, where you would be able to map one of the two of the analog axes to that thing and use that to move your head without having to freeze the flight controls the way the Z key does now. So you could be flying and you could also be, moving your head around. The old video game Ace Combat, or series of video game Ace Combat, had something similar to that. I mean, it was on an Xbox controller, so where you could kind of fly, and then you could use another. I think the other thumbstick you could use to basically turn your head in analog. So it's possible to do that. It's
Plenty of unused buttons on a keyboard right now.
yeah. Well, the keyboard. The problem with the keyboard is that it's digital. So you're gonna like, the best you'd be able to do is push a key and you look 90, or you look 180, or you look 90. They have that functionality in there right now. You can go into options and just map, look left, look right, look behind, look forward, look up and look down. You could map that on 6 keys on your keyboard right now. They had that technology has already been built into Star Citizen. It's just the problem is that all you got are the 90 degree, the 6 90 degree, what do they call that? Cardinal directions on a sphere, forward, back, left, right, up and down at 90. So, if you opened up the field of view, the field of view of the camera that the monitor is looking through wide enough, that would, could be enough, but you're going to get a little bit of fisheye lens, I think, maybe. Not to mention people would make themselves sick as hell.
Yep.
Car sick. So, anything else? Raylingo, you have a question?
Yeah. I thought that holding in the Alt key would let you free look.
It does an Arco.
It doesn't do that in Star Citizen.
No, the left Alt, I believe, is the sort of like a shift key. It lets you do a second layer of functions on the keyboard.
The Z key is your free look, but
it's a toggle.
And your roll. Your ship will roll if you happen to hit your roll axis, but it will not engage your pitch or yaw axis.
There you go. Any other questions? How about any answers? Anybody got any answers for me? Nope. All right, then. This wraps up this installment of Academics with Foghorn. I hope you found it interesting and helpful. If you have any questions I didn't answer, please feel free to contact me via email, Discord, or Spectrum, or, of course, the comments section below for our YouTube viewers later. And I will answer it to the best of my ability as quickly as I can. If you are part of the Aurora Republic membership, haven't hit follow or subscribe as appropriate for our channels, then please do. And even if you're not, if you're a visitor or guest, then please also feel free to hit those follows and subscribes and give us that feedback, because it actually does help us. We actually do look at it, and we're striving to improve our content. If you're interested in finding out more, you can visit us at aurorarepublic.space or on Spectrum at robertspaceindustries.com/orgs/aurora-rep. And of course, if you're already watching us on Twitch or YouTube, you found us already. So I will see you next time. This is Foghorn signing off, wishing you a pleasant remainder of your morning, afternoon, and your evening. Thank you very much. And to our members and guests, if you give me about 5 minutes to get stuff turned over, then I will be ready to go fly on the verse. Thank you. And we are clear.